We're back at it one more time, my friends. One more time. I think we got about 4 or 5 more parts to do. I'm going to read from chapter 4. I'm going to get all the way to chapter 10, see how I feel. Try to understand how much I've broken down to that point and not overwhelm anyone. So the last 4 chapters, or the last 3 chapters, excuse me, it's a detailed yet brief review and overlay of what the people have experienced coming out of Egypt, coming into the land of Canaan, and in particularly having to cross over the Jordan. Okay. Now, the reason why this is so important is because the Jordan is, one second. Give me one moment. Let me find this map and I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right. Can you guys see this? All right, I'm going to find the Jordan and I'm going to point it out to you. Okay, so, because it's on both of them, but you can see it easier on this one. See, it says the Great Sea. And I'm going to bring it to you nice and close. And it's backwards right there, Jordan, as you guys can see. So the landmass that they're crossing is coming up. They're not coming down. You understand what I'm saying? They're coming up into the land now. And further understanding of this is we can see on this other map, I'll bring it nice and close, and it says Reuben. You see? So you see that they're on the other side coming up. I wanted to do that. I needed to do that so that way we could get a little understanding of the terrain or where they had to come from to get to where they were at. They had to come all the way around. So this is why when people are like, why were they in the wilderness for 40 years in the first place? We'd have to go all the way back to the Exodus to where the Most High God tells Moses, don't take them to the land of the Philistines because they're going to see warfare there and their hearts are going to fail and they're going to go back to Egypt. So he said, look, take the people, go the scenic route. Okay, so they had to go as opposed to them just going straight through and going right to the land. It would have been too crazy. Historically, these giant seafaring monsters that some people call the sea people, others call them the Fomorians. They have so many different names, and their latest band of children that the world knows about were called the Vikings. And Vikings weren't just white skin, they were black skin too. But we're not going to get carried away into that. I just wanted to give some gravity to where we're going with this. So they skip past dealing with these things that are coming from the water and from wherever else that are attacking the general land around them. And these things are who you're hearing about, the children of Enoch, or the Enochim, or the Omim, or the Zakomim, right? That were spoke on the last time when it was said that the children of Moab or Ammon, or the children of Esau or Edom had lived in a certain place and dwelt with a certain people. Now, last time I didn't get too carried away into trying to get off into things. This time I kind of sort of will. I need y'all to realize when we last read, one of the most major things is that this contradicted historical understanding of the height of King Og. They tell you Og is only 13 feet tall, but they tell us that he's 9 cubits feet tall. That's 27 feet, y'all. So Og is almost 30 feet tall. This gives credence to what I said about they were considered liberators for a great portion of what they were doing. You know, they were considered major liberators. Now we're going to pick off in verse 1 of chapter 4. And this is just Moses talking to the people, letting everybody know, like, remember, I told Joshua is going to be the guy after I go. And so we're going to pick up there. And now, Israel, hear the ordinances and judgments, all that I teach you this day to do, that ye may live and be multiplied, and that ye may go in and inherit the land which the Lord God of your fathers gives you. Excuse me. Ye shall not add to the word which I command you, and ye shall not take away from it. Keep the commandments of the Lord our God, all that I command you this day. See, now, one of the most twisted and wicked things that the historians try to do is they try to impose on the people sometimes that Moses was trying to make himself a man god, but there's too many instances where a man has no power to do these things. You understand? So they will try to usurp the righteousness of Moses by trying to imply wickedness on a man's character, things that they can't even prove, and it's normally coming from a genetic group of so-called people who can't even prove their genetic footprint on this earth and their genetic roots. Where are we at? Verse 3. Your eyes have seen all that the Lord our God did in this case of Baal-Phagor. Now, that's going back to when, if we're going to go back to the book of the Levites, Phineas, I want to say, right? He gets up and he stabs the Israelitish man and the Midianitish woman. He kills them both right there on the spot, and the plague ceases. And it's only because the people went off to go worship the gods of the Midianitish people, or the Midianites. You see what I'm saying? Right after they smack, or Numbers, excuse me, not Leviticus, but Numbers. And right after they smash, what's his name? Balaam, all the way down, right? They're already partying with the people. Nonsense. Nonsense. Nonsense, I tell you. I'm telling you, it's just complete nonsense. Your eyes have seen all that the Lord our God did in the case of Baal-Phagor. For every man that went after Baal-Phagor, the Lord your God has utterly destroyed him from among you. But ye that kept close to the Lord your God are all alive today. Verse 5, behold, I have shewn you ordinances and judgments as the Lord commanded me. That right there should tell you people, tell all of us, that Moses was not talking to himself. He was told to do those things. It's a constant reiteration and iteration of that this man is not a crazy man, and that he's dealing with the creator of all things. Let me go ahead and just keep it going. Behold, I have shown you ordinances and judgments as the Lord commanded me, that ye should do in the land into which ye go to inherit. Commanded, i.e., commandments. Verse 6, and ye shall keep and do them, for this is your wisdom and understanding before all nations, as many as shall hear these ordinances, and they shall say, behold, this great nation is a wise and understanding people. For what manner of nation is so great, which has God so near to them, as the Lord our God is in all things and whatsoever we may call upon him? And what manner of nation is so great, which has righteous ordinances and judgments according to all this law, which I set before you this day? Stop right there. Did y'all hear that? That's major. Let's get into one of those things where I would have read this by myself and read this 4 or 5 times, because that's a major statement. What was just said. He said, look, if you do what I'm asking you to do, When you guys go and get around these other people, when y'all beat them down and all this other stuff anyway, when they see how you live, they're going to be like, oh my God, they're right. They're right. They're like, nobody ever does this. Nobody's ever lived like this. They don't eat. They don't eat just anything on the ground. They don't eat anything that's coming out the water. They don't eat anything that flies. Okay, right? They have a specific set time where they do everything, right? So there's a time to work. There's a time to rest. Their whole way of life is to increase life. The whole point of circumcision is so that way you can increase copulation productivity, i.e., more children. Because in case you guys forgot, like 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago, I broke this down that it's believable that Abraham suffered from a condition because he was uncircumcised where his foreskin, the skin at the very tip, had hardened over. And it's said in this condition that procreation itself can become undesirable because it's very painful, but you can still produce children. So for a man like Abraham to have a wife who obviously is having a hard time having children, for him to get half the ejaculation that he would, and normally, right, she's not going to get pregnant now. Understand, the Egyptians don't practice circumcision. A lot of those dudes back there were probably hurting from that same condition. Just something to throw out there. Circumcision was to help people have children. Thank you very much. Not only is it the mark of God, but it's to help increase the flow so that way you can have children. It's how Abraham was able to have children going forth. And hold on, and not just that. The laws, they're rated in cleanliness. So the Most High God says, okay, this form of life is clean. This form of life is unclean. Right on? The people who they would get around would realize, like, man, I'm super dirty. I'm disgusting, nasty, filthy, atrocious, unrighteous, unclean, and ungodly. But you got to get around them first. You got to show them the truth first. You can't be half stepping and sideways and folding up like a wet blanket. Where we at? Verse 9. Take heed to thyself and keep thy heart diligently. So, it says by the word heart, it's a symbol there. Forget not any of these things. Forget not any of the things which thine eyes have seen, and let them not depart from thine heart all the days of thy life. And thou shalt teach them to thy sons and thy sons' sons, even the things that happened in the day in which he stood before the Lord our God in Horeb, in the day of the assembly. For the Lord said to me, gather the people to me, and let them hear my words, that they may learn to fear me all the days which they live upon the earth. And they shall teach their sons. And they drew nigh and stood under the mountain, and the mountain burned up, and the mountain burned with fire up to heaven. Can't no man do that. Yeah, people were like, oh, that's not true. Anyway, I'm not going to argue that with anybody. There was darkness. Blackness. Listen, darkness and blackness are different. There was darkness, blackness, and tempest. And the Lord spoke to you out of the midst of the fire, a voice of words, which ye heard, and ye saw no likeness, only ye heard a voice. And he announced to you his covenant, which he commanded you to keep, even the 10 commandments, or words or sayings. Right, those are those 10 sayings, not just the 10. Anyway, let me stop. And he wrote them on 2 tables of stone. Because if you keep those 10 basic tenets, it's literally impossible for you to get out of joint with the Most High God. Because even if you eat unclean food, the law for that is for you to fast. Okay? There is no death sentence for eating unclean food. Just thought I'd throw that out there. But for the 10 commandments, How many of those, if you go against that, could actually come with the death sentence? Especially somebody who bears false witness. Right. That people telling lies they never got him killed? Anyway. There have been a lot of people who folks will have never heard about. Kind of like I'll just skip forward in the future of the scripture, but in the past in real life, when King Saul was being encompassed by the Philistines, he and Jonathan, and I believe Jonathan was slew. I don't think Jonathan fell on the sword, but I know King Saul fell on his sword, and there was oh my goodness. What was the race of the man? Amalekite. I'm pretty sure he was an Amalekite. And he was a servant. He was the armor bearer to King Saul. And he came back and told David, I killed King Saul. False witness. Well, David said to him, you thought you thought that you were doing the right thing by killing the anointed? Had some people kill him right then and there in that moment. So the 10 Commandments, no matter which one you want to pick, honoring your mother and your father. Listen, it's punishable by death to bring shame to your parents, to curse your parents or lay hands on them. Not saying that if they did lay hands on you first and you trying to get somebody off of you, but for you to go out of your way to try to like physically harm one of your parents, especially in their elderly age. Got to go. Don't need nobody like that around here. I just want to throw these things out there. I want to put these things out there. I want people to know that there's not very many moments in the day. And I know you guys are probably like wondering, like, where am I getting with this? I meditate on this all the time. It's always on my mind. It's always on my heart. It's always on my soul. So I can tell you certain things because I've had a lot of time to think about it. Let's just get back into the scripture. And the Lord commanded me at that time to teach you ordinances and judgments, that ye should do them on the land into which ye go to inherit. And take good heed to your hearts, for ye saw no similitude in the day in which the Lord spoke to you in Horeb, in the mountain, out of the midst of fire. Give me one moment. One of those words. Google. And I'm pretty sure I know what that means. There we go. Yep. It's just a quality, a state of being similar. And let's see what it says.
Similitude.
Similitude. That's how we say that word properly. So nothing likened to them. And once again, this is how we go through it. I thought it was same. I would have read it like that anyway. But that's how you give yourself complete understanding. You go, you look the word up. How hard is it to do that? Why? Right. If I just did that right in front of you, how hard is it to do that while you're reading? To have Google or something like that at your fingertips, or Webster or whatever, and to give yourself complete understanding, or the best understanding you can have in the moment. Right. Come on. Y'all know I love you, right? That's why I do stuff like that. Similitude. Anyway, let's keep reading. No, let's go back and then let's read it all the way through, and then we'll get back to the part. Verse 15, and take good heed to your hearts, for ye saw no similitude in the day in which the Lord spoke to you in Horeb, in the mountain, out of the midst of fire. So they're saying that there's never been a day like that. It has never happened. You've never seen a day like that before. It hasn't happened since. Right. The Most High God spoke to the people. See, what folks need to understand was there were little children, there were little babies there, little boys and little girls who couldn't understand the gravity of that. Their parents died, okay? So people who did understand the gravity of that, they were the same people whose hearts were turned away from doing the right thing. Remember when they came back from the surveying of the land? Right. This is why Moses is asking them, like, why do you guys do this evil thing? Oh, man. Y'all want to stay here. Gad and Reuben, remember? What are y'all talking about, man? Y'all got to go across the land, smash these dudes out with us. And do y'all see how the makeup of the land was? They'd have to have pushed up and in and pushed everyone out and fanned everyone out. Right. I'm just trying to show y'all, like, it's not what they say it was. Or it's not how they try to put it off. It's way different. And so sometimes when folks don't realize, like, yo, an entire nation, at least 1 million people, but I'm going to say millions of people. And sure, they're moving in droves or like a large, giant caravan, right? But it doesn't mean that things aren't there's other things that are taking place. There's a lot that's going on. And this has never taken place ever again. Never again. There's never been a time where the Most High was like, you know what? Get everybody, bring them all here. Let me show them who I am. It's not going to happen again, he said. Or there hasn't been a moment like that since, I should say. Now, here we go. Where we at? The Lord spoke to you in Coreb in the mountain out of the midst of fire. Lest ye transgress and make to yourselves a carved image, any kind of figure, the likeness of male or female, the likeness of any beast, of those that are on the earth, the likeness of any winged bird which flies under heaven, the likeness of any reptiles which creep on the earth, the likeness of any fish of those which are in the, one moment, in the waters under the earth. And lest, having looked up to the sky and having seen the sun and the moon and the stars and all the heavenly bodies or order of heaven, thou shouldest go astray and worship them and serve them, which the Lord thy God has distributed to all the nations under heaven. But God took you and led you forth out of the land of Egypt, out of the iron furnace, out of Egypt, to be a people of inheritance, as at this day. And the Lord was angry with me for the things said by you, and swear that I should not go over this Jordan, and that I should not enter into the land, which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance. For I am to die, for I die in this land, and shall not pass over this Jordan. But ye are to pass over, and shall inherit this good land. Now listen to what Moses is doing. This is his last hoorah. This is the last rah-rah speech. And this whole book is going to be things getting broken into and talking about what they're supposed to do, what they're not supposed to do. Just understand this, y'all. Moses is taking the time to tell the people, I'm not going to go into the land. I always wondered, I'm going to ask you guys this. When did Moses go up and find out everything? How long did he know? And do y'all realize that he didn't go astray? He realized he wasn't going into the promised land. He still did the right thing. I don't know if people can appreciate that, but I do. I love Moses. Extremely glad that he was a real person and that he lived on earth and he did exactly what he did. Musa, whatever people want to call him. I don't care. Verse 23, take heed to yourselves, lest ye forget the covenant of the Lord our God, which he has made with you, and ye transgress, and make to yourselves a graven image of anything, of any of the things concerning which the Lord thy God commanded thee. For the Lord thy God is a consuming fire, a jealous God. And by that word, oh no, I'm not even going to worry about that. Got to go look up some other stuff to find out what they really mean, which might not be anything. Verse 25. And when thou shalt have begotten sons, and shalt have sons, and ye shall have dwelt a long time on the land, and shall have transgressed, and made a graven image of anything, and shall have done wickedly before the Lord your God to provoke him, I call heaven and earth this day to witness against you, that ye shall surely perish from off the land, into which ye go across the Jordan to inherit there. Ye shall not prolong your days upon it, but ye shall be utterly cut off, and the Lord shall scatter you among all nations. And ye shall be left few in number among all the nations, which the Lord shall bring you. And ye shall serve there other gods, the works of the hands of men, wood and stones, which cannot see, which shall not see, nor can they hear, nor eat, nor smell. These are all things the Most High God clearly does. The Most High God clearly eats. He smells. He can see. He can see. He can hear. All that. People, man. Anyway, just keep going. Really, really sad sometimes that folks don't get that. And there ye shall seek the Lord your God, and ye shall find him whenever ye shall seek him with all your heart, with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, or with all your soul, in thy affliction, in your affliction. And all these things shall come upon thee in the last days, and thou shalt turn to the Lord thy God, and shalt hearken to his voice. Because the Lord thy God is a God of pity. He's a what? He's a God of pity. I don't want to hear all this, my God don't show no mercy. I don't know who told you that. I don't know who came with all that hellfire and brimstone, that there's no hope. I've never came with hope. I believe I'm the most hopeful guy there is. I'm just objectionable. I have enough objectionable reason within me to know that it might not go the way that I desire it to go, the way that I know I need it to go. It may go the opposite. But just having the faith to believe is the difference. Let's just go ahead and keep it going. He will not forsake thee, nor destroy thee. He will not forget the covenant of thy fathers, which the Lord sware to them. Ask of the former days, which were before thee, from the day when God created man upon the earth, and the beginning at the one end of the heaven to the other end of the heaven. If there has happened anything like to this great event, if such a thing has been heard, if a nation have heard the voice of the living God speaking out of the midst of the fire, as thou hast heard and lived, if God has essayed to go and to take himself a nation out of the midst of another nation with trial and with signs and with wonders and with war and with a mighty hand and with a high arm and with great sights, according to all the things which the Lord our God did in Egypt, in thy sight, or before thee seeing. Verse 35. So thou shouldest know that the Lord thy God, he is God, and there is none beside him. His voice was made audible. What? That's the word they used here. Audible, hearable. His voice was made audible from heaven to instruct thee. And he shewed thee upon the earth his great fire, and thou heardest his words out of the midst of the fire. So he used the fire to speak through. Come on, man. It's so, I don't know why he did it. Maybe the. So it's all pure. Fire at all time is, a fire has to be clean, right? Even though it's burning. So it has to be, his words have to be, everything has to be. That's why the mountain's on fire. That's why it's all a fire up to heaven, because it all has to be. No, there can be no unclean. It has to be righteousness. That's the only thing I can understand right now. Maybe there's something else that somebody else will get when they hear it later and can lend their understanding. But for right now, that's what my mind is telling me. And there's other things it's telling me, but I won't get carried away. I'll say that. Verse 37. Because he loved thy fathers, he chose you, their seed, after them, and he brought thee himself with great strength out of Egypt. This is the creator of all things, y'all, doing this to destroy nations. Great or greater and stronger than thou before thy face, to bring thee in, to give thee their land to inherit, as thou hast it this day. Stop right there. The Most High God is saying what? These guys are all bigger and stronger than you. But I delivered them to you so that way people will be afraid. Like, these dudes are getting down. These are all regular sized people, once again, putting the smack down on 30, 40, 50-foot tall giants, their children and their children's children, putting it on them. Thank you very much. Let me just go ahead and keep reading. And thou shalt know this day, verse 39, and shalt consider in thine heart that the Lord thy God, he is God in heaven above, and on the earth beneath, and there is none else but he. And keep ye his commandments and his ordinances, all that I commanded you this day, that it may be well with thee, and with thy sons after thee, that ye may be long lived upon the earth, which the Lord thy God giveth thee forever. Stop right there, because it's about to change up. Did y'all know? Let me just read it to you again. Ask of the former days which were before thee, from the day when God created man upon the earth, and beginning at the one end of heaven to the other end of the heaven, if there has happened anything like to this great event, if there has, if such a thing has been heard, if a nation has heard the voice of the living God speaking out of the midst of the fire, as thou heardest and hast lived. Stop right there. Do you know what he's saying right now? He's like, what y'all just went through, Moses really understood how highly improbable all this is. He's like, this is really the creator of everything, really dealing with us. Wow. I know it's hard. I know it's difficult, challenging. It's a tribulation and a trial all in itself to accept that the creator truly chose people to deal with. I know it's more difficult for people to believe that what I'm about to say right now, they're going to want to yell blasphemy. But that Moses, yes, Moses and the people, the children of Israel, yes, the children of Jacob, yes, they look like me, yes, some lighter, some darker, yes. These are the people that this is being spoken to right now. This is why this never resonates, okay, with any other race of people stronger than it does with so-called blacks. A specific kind of black. Man, the Most High God is great because he if this was the history of the so-called white man, the whole earth would be perfect right now. But let's just keep going. Based on all the warfare they've been waging on people and everything, the whole earth would have to be perfect, and it's not. It's totally the opposite. So we know that this isn't them. Nor have they been took into charge for all their sins, like the Israelites have been told that, and like I know that they have, taken to task for what they've done. But don't worry, there's hope for us. I can't say there's hope for them, especially for those who don't repent. That's why the Messiah said he didn't want him to. Verse 41. Then Moses separated 3 cities beyond Jordan on the east, that the slayer might flee thither, who should have slain his neighbor unintentionally, and should not have hated him, or should not have, one moment, by that word, hated, it's a symbol, yesterday or the third day, in the times past. And he shall flee to one of the cities and live. Bosor in the wilderness, in the plain country of Reuben, and Ramoth and Galad belonging to Gad, or the Gadite, and Galan and Basan belonging to Manas. Now stop right there. Note the slayer of blood. The you can only flee. They're only going to let you really. They're only going to really hold you down. They're only supposed to, I should say, is if it's unintentional. Now we know that this all got messed up, and this is why blood abound in the land. People didn't keep the laws and didn't keep the commandments. So it's easy when all bets are off. So I'll give you guys a prime example, and I'll get right back to the scripture. When there's a falling out between Judah and the rest of Israel, and Benjamin, in a way, kind of sort of joins themselves to Judah, I could say the Simeonites are by a part attached to Judah, and then the Levites, who obviously stay within the land. What happens is that these civil wars allow for, guys to just start killing each other. There's nowhere for anybody to flee. It's all wickedness. And then for somebody, let's say, who kills somebody unintentionally, for real, then somebody goes and kills this guy, right? And then they want to hold up the person who just killed the person who killed someone. It's just so much wickedness that took place. I know for a fact. It's the same level of wickedness that you see play out right now in the so-called urbanite black communities where we're all sequestered together. Once again, it doesn't matter that all of us are not the same genetic pattern, so much it is that we all have been taught and we all live by a general code of conduct. And because of that, it allows for violence to permeate in ways that it normally wouldn't permeate, because people who look like me are way more peaceable than people who don't look like me. Right on, and I can put this. I've seen it a whole bunch of times. There's crazy dudes running around who look like me, but there's a lot of not crazy people who running around here who look like me. They're nothing wrong with it. What's wrong with them was what's wrong with everybody else, I should say. Anyway, let's just keep pushing. This is the law, verse 44. Which Moses set before the children of Israel. Verse 45. These are the testimonies and the ordinances and the judgments which Moses spoke to the sons of Israel when they came out of the land of Egypt, on, or the east side, of the Jordan, in the valley near the house of Phogor, in the land of Sihon, the king of the Amorites, who dwelt in Esebon, whom Moses and the sons of Israel smote when they came out of the land of Egypt. And they inherited his land, and the land of Og, king of Basan, 2 kings of the Amorites, who were beyond the Jordan eastward, from Edor, which is on the border of the brook Arnon, even to Mount Sion, which is Arman or Irman. All Araba beyond Jordan, and by Araba, or the plain, all the plain beyond Jordan, or all Araba, eastward, under Asadoth, hewn in the rock, or the quarried rock. So these are people who were living in the mountains, just like they still do to this day. A lot of them are black people. Just in case you didn't know, there's a lot of black people who live like that out there in the so-called Middle East. They're living like that for thousands of years. They're not going to stop. Right. So when we realize that the east side never eat, right? So if we're on the right side of the Jordan, that means that this is before they cross over. He's telling them this. Again, it's reiterating. Moses does not go into the promised land. Okay, he's talking to the people right now before they go there, and this is that last battle talk. Like, and we beat down Og, we beat down Sion, right on. We smacked them down. Y'all remember that? They're like, yeah. They all rah-rahed up. He's like, the Most High God chose us out of everybody. He's like, did y'all know that? They're like, yeah. They're all rah-rahed up. You know what I'm saying? They're going crazy right now. But they're listening to him, but they're going crazy. Trust. It's a heavy moment. Moses is a super old man now, like a $120 or something like that. And he has literally, he has borne the brunt of this assignment on his shoulders because he had to bear the burden before they left Egypt. You see what I'm saying? He had to put together the entire logistical effort fell at Moses' feet and at Aaron's feet. This is why the people love Aaron. These guys, they're like those uncles, you know what I mean, that everybody wish they had, and every once in a while they do something that you don't like, but normally he's on point. They're like that, I never had grandparents, so I can't make that comparison. I don't know what that's like, and it would be inappropriate for me to do that. But if I had grandparents, then I could imagine, but there's no need for me to do that. Now, where are we at, y'all? We're at verse 1 of chapter 5. You see how long it took for us to get through one chapter when we really break it down? Because I'm going to start talking. It's going to take a little while. Don't worry, I'll try to get through this one for you. Push through it a little bit. Verse 1, and Moses called all Israel and said to them, hear, Israel, the ordinances and judgments, all that I speak in your ears this day, and ye shall learn them and observe to do them. The Lord your God made a covenant with you in Horeb. The Lord did not make a covenant. The Lord did not make this covenant with your fathers, but with you. Ye are all here alive this day. The Lord spoke to you face to face in the mountain out of the midst of the fire. And I stood between the Lord and you at that time to report to you the words of the Lord, because ye were terrified before the fire, and ye went not up to the mountain, saying, I am the Lord thy God, who brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before my face. Thou shalt not make to thyself an image, nor likeness of anything, whatever are in the heaven above, and whatever are in the earth beneath, and whatever are in the waters under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down to them, neither shalt thou serve them. For I am the Lord, the Lord thy God, a jealous God, visiting the sins of the fathers upon the children, to the third and fourth generation to them that hate me, and doing mercifully to the thousands to them that love. The numbers of the thousands, this is a symbol I read, doing mercifully to the thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord thy God will certainly not acquit him that takes his name in vain. Acquit, meaning let it be, meaning find you not guilty. Keep the Sabbath day to sanctify, as the Lord thy God commanded thee. 6 days thou shalt work, and thou shalt do all thy works. But on the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. Thou shalt do in it no work, thou and thy son and thy daughter, thy manservant and thy maidservant, thine ox and thine ass, and all thy cattle, and the stranger that sojourns in the midst of thee. And thy manservant may rest, and thy maid, and thine ox, as well as thou. And thou shalt remember that thou was a slave in the land of Egypt. And the Lord thy God brought thee thence with a mighty hand, and the Lord thy God brought thee out thence with a mighty hand and a high arm. Therefore the Lord appointed to thee to keep the Sabbath day and sanctify it. Let me just half 1 second. The reason why the Sabbath day is so important, it's the seventh day, and it memorializes, it is the showing that the Most High God rested on the seventh day because he had created the heavens and the earth. And it took the 6 days to get it. On the seventh day, he rested because he got to go back over everything, he had to check that back. He had to check his backsplash and all that, make sure his mortar was good, make sure his grout lines were right, you feel me? You know what I'm saying? Make sure all of his framing, all of his dimensions were perfect. Everything was square. Yeah, he had to do all that. And then he was like, okay, it's time for a break. And that's and for people to not have the respect to give to the Most High God, to say, you know what? He deserves a day. He deserves a whole day where you just don't do anything. You just chill. You just rest. They've created a world where some people rest way too much and don't do anything. So we're not in the land where we could do these things and follow them easily. We're in the land of our punishment and of our captivity. And if we can just appreciate that the Most High God told us to say that, we apologize, then maybe we have a chance. But let me just keep reading. Verse 16, honor thy father and thy mother, as the Lord thy God commanded thee, that it be well with thee, that thou mayest live long upon the land which the Lord thy God gives thee. Thou shalt not commit murder. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness. Thou shalt not cover thy neighbor's wife. Thou shalt not cover thy neighbor's house, nor his field, nor his manservant, nor his maid, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor any beast of his, or anything that is thy neighbor's. All things that can get you killed. Tell me one of those things I just read to y'all that can't get you laid out. Verse 22. These words the Lord spoke to all the assembly of you in the mountain of the midst of the fire. There was darkness, blackness, storm, a loud voice, and he added no more. And he wrote them on 2 tables of stone, and he gave them to me. And it came to pass, when ye heard the voice out of the midst of the fire, for the mountain burned with fire, that ye came to me, even all the heads of your tribes and your elders. And ye said, behold, the Lord our God has shewn us his glory, and we have heard his voice out of the midst of the fire. By this day, we have seen that God shall speak to man, and he shall live. And now let us not die, for this great fire will consume us, if we shall hear the voice of the Lord any more, and we shall die. For what flesh is there which has heard the voice of the living God speaking out of the midst of the fire, as we have heard, and shall live? Stop right there. Do y'all understand how special Moses was? He's standing between them. Moses isn't talking about the heat. They're talking about how hot it is. They're like, bro, it's hot. It's hot. He keep talking on us, man. We just gonna drop dead out here, man. Hey, and we love him. Tell them we said we love him, but it's hot. I'm ready to die. And they said, I don't think anybody else could have done that. Right. And you know why they don't think anybody else could have done that? Because they just spent years of being slaves in Egypt, slaving in the sun all day, in the heat. So their bodies are conditioned to what? That's right. Small little teensy beensy little things like that that if you can appreciate the scripture and remember it, when you read something like that, you can give it some humanization. Like, oh, that's how they live. Moses is radiated. Oh, that's right. So he's not even like a regular person anymore. Remember, Moses covers his face with the veil, y'all, when he comes out. People forget things like this because we're just reading the story. Got to remember all that. You must. Right. You must. It's an epic thing. It's an important thing. Think I lie to you? Think I tell you a falsehood or a facade or a tall tale? No. Moses was the same. He was the same face covered man. Anyway. There's so much going on. And this is why this is a journey in space and time. They spend so much time in space and time, literally, that you have to be able to separate the space and time continuum almost, pretty much, that's what it is, from the happenstance of what is happening in the very moment and then what is outside of that moment. It's a lot. There's a lot going on in the scripture that people probably don't even pay attention to. You know, I don't want to make it extremely base, but at the same time, I don't want to have it to where people think it's all esoteric, because it's not. It's straightforward. But there's a lot of esoteric things that are spoken on in layman language, in layman terms, regular man, you know, how we speak, right? Verbiage, if you will. So, right. Hearing something like, let's just read that one more time. Where is it at? For what flesh is there, verse 26, chapter 5, what flesh is there which has heard the voice of the living God speaking out of the midst of fire, as we have heard, and shall live? They're saying it not just to say, oh, the voice of God could kill you. I'm telling you, this fire's hot. Right. It's deep, y'all. And this just tell you how special Moses was to have stood between them. They're way back yonder. He's up in the mountain. Just think about, man, it's so deep. Anyway, let me just keep going. Moses was he was extremely special. He was a very unique individual that the only person, the master class Moses in the whole scripture is the Messiah. The only one to get like close to showing up Moses is Elijah. That's it. None else. No one else. No one else even gets close. It's not even a contest. Not that there would be a contest anyway. Let me keep reading. Verse 27, do thou draw near and hear all that the Lord our God shall say. And thou shalt speak to us all things whatsoever the Lord our God shall speak to thee. And we will hear and do. This is the people talking to Moses. And the Lord heard the voice of your words as he spoke to me. This is Moses telling the people what they said to him. And he's saying, now this is Moses talking again. And the Lord heard the voice of your words as ye spoke to me. And the Lord said to me, I have heard the voice of the words of this people, even all things that they have said to thee. They have well said all they have spoken. They have well said all that they have spoken. There's a word here, says, that there were such a heart in them, or pits or pools, that there were such a heart in them that they should fear me and keep my commands always. So the pits or the pools would be their hearts, that it might be well with them and with their sons forever. Verse 30, go say to them, return to your houses, but stand thou here with me, and I will tell thee all the commands and the ordinances and judgments and the judgments, and thou shalt teach them and let them do them in the land which I shall give them for an inheritance. And ye shall take heed to do as the Lord thy God commanded thee. And ye shall not turn aside to the right hand or to the left, according to all the way which the Lord thy God commanded thee to walk in it, that he may give thee rest, that it may be well with thee, and ye may prolong your days on the land which ye shall inherit. Verse 1 of chapter 6. And just a real quick overview. He's saying the same things again. Don't create graven images. Don't worship anyone else, because that's the ultimate offense to the Most High God. He's like, so really, they saved you and I didn't save you? He can't. I don't blame his majesty, his greatness, his holiness for being angry. How can, it's the equivalent. The only thing I can make tantamount to that is when a child is raised by the parent raises them, gives them everything as a child. And when they grow up to become a dirty, rotten criminal, knowing that they had excellent parents. There's no reason for them to be like this. They choose to be like this. Our people chose to be like that. Don't put that off on white people. Don't put that off on nobody else. Own that, black people. It's time for you to have some onus for your ancestors. It's time for you to own up to who you are. I can't be the only one I can't be the only one to hold the L. I'm not the only person who feels that I may be of the seed of Abraham. So for me to have said that, if I'm going to hold the L, for anybody else to think that they're going to tell me that they're even partially the seed of Abraham, you're going to have to hold that L, homies. Sorry. I'm not hearing it. You want right now, current day, the white man to be called the devil, this, that, the other. You better call your ancestors that, the children of the devil. That's why we're here. That's why we're stuck like Chuck. Verse 1 of chapter 6. And these are the commands and the ordinances and the judgments, as many as the Lord our God gave commandment to teach you to do so in the land on which ye enter to inherit, that ye may fear the Lord your God. Keep ye all his ordinances and his commandments, which I command thee today, thou and thy sons and thy sons' sons, all the days of thy life, that ye may live many days. Hear, therefore, O Israel, and observe to do them, that it may be well with thee, that the Lord, that ye may be greatly multiplied. There we go. As the Lord thy God of thy fathers said, he would give up, as the Lord thy God of thy fathers said that he would give thee a land flowing with milk and honey. And these are the ordinances and the judgments which the Lord commanded the children of Israel in the wilderness, when they had gone forth from the land of Egypt. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. He's what? One Lord. It's one God. He's a single being. He's not a multicast of characters. Thank you very much. He's one. Verse 5, and thou shalt love the Lord thy God with what? All thy mind, and with all thy soul, and with all thy strength. With all thy what? Mind. With all thy soul and all thy strength. And these words, all that I command thee, shall be in thy heart and in thy soul. And thou shalt teach them to thy children, and thou shalt speak of them sitting in the house, and walking by the way, and lying down, and rising up. And thou shalt fasten them for a sign upon thy hand, and it shall be immovable before thine eyes. And ye shall write them on the lintels of your house and on your gates. He's saying you will never forget it, because it will always be what you do. You will continue to live in this. It will be a perpetual ordinance that is supposed to have longevity through continuity. Come on. I might not be the brightest bulb, y'all. I might even be cracked a little bit. But you know what? I still work. I still shine light. And I'm telling y'all right now, that if you can't believe, or if you believe in your mind, in your heart of hearts, in your souls, that the Most High God did not want the people to love him, first and foremost, you're wrong. Note how he said with your mind, love me with your mind, because guess what? What you do, you have to think. There is no person, there is no one that does anything without thinking. The sin unconsciously is the heat of the moment. But that's not you didn't know what you were doing. Right. Did it say a man was out of his mind doing this? No. No, 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 no. And when we can give the gravitas to a term like conscious and unconscious, the way that it's supposed to have, then we can step back and really look at the situations for what they're worth. Most High God said, yo, keep this in your heart. If you're supposed to love him with all your mind, your soul, and your strength, right. Guess what you're going to love him with all too, inherently? Your heart. But he needs you to have it up here first, because he don't want your heart to deceive you. He don't want you to think you're doing the right thing in your heart. No, you're doing the right thing in your mind. Come on. We don't follow our hearts, we follow our mind. I thank the Most High God for giving me the ability to be able to read, to be able to comprehend. I was made for this. I don't care what nobody says. I was made to do this. Verse 7. And these words, all that I command thee this day, shall be in thy heart and in thy soul, and thou shalt teach them to thy children, and thou shalt speak them in the sitting of the house, and walking by the way, and laying down, and rising up, and thou shalt fasten them for a sign upon thy hand, and it shall be immovable before thine eyes, and ye shall write them on the lintels of your house and of your gates. And it shall come to pass, when the Lord thy God shall have brought thee into the land which he sware to thy fathers, to Abraham and to Isaac and to Jacob, it to give thee great and beautiful cities, which thou what? Which thou what? Which thou didst not build. That's a cornerstone to why we had to build the whole country of America. Houses full of all good things, which what? Which thou didst not fill. Come on. Wells, or who would, or what's the word by wells? Or pits or pools, wells dug in the rock that thou didst not dig. I'm trying to read it to you. I'm trying to make y'all understand why you had to bring your black selves over here, why you had to build a whole nation up, because you inherited one. Is it all starting to come full circle for black people just yet? Don't worry. By the time we get to the end of the Deuteronomy, there will be no mistake who these people are who we're reading about. 0%. Vineyards and oliveyards, which thou didst not plant. Then having eaten and been filled, beware lest thou forget the Lord thy God, which brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt fear the Lord thy God, and him only shalt thou serve. And thou shalt cleave to him, and by his name thou shalt swear. And by his name thou shalt swear. So if you just go ahead and keep it pushing. Now, let me give you a brief insight real quick. Clearly, you're not just supposed to be out there swearing. But when you do swear, you swear to his name. You don't swear by anything else. That's why people be like, you don't swear to God, but you're supposed to. Actually, the Most High, I don't know his name. If one of y'all bad mamma jammers know his real name, the incorruptible one that we're supposed to get, you let me know. But I don't know that name. I just know that the creator, the ultimate the magnetic, omnipresent, conscious force that he is. He is a frequency that is immeasurable. He is the frequency. Without him, there's nothing. And I can assure that to be a fact. Verse 14, go ye not after other gods, of the gods of the nations round about you. For the Lord thy God is in the midst of thee. For the Lord thy God in the midst of thee is a jealous God. Lest the Lord thy God be very angry with thee and destroy thee from off the face of the earth. Right. So I'll just get rid of you altogether. Like I had wanted to anyway in the wilderness a couple times. And could have did this the right way with Moses. It's okay. Moses didn't realize I would have been keeping my promise anyway if only one of the children of if only one of the sons of Jacob, because that's still his seed, comes into the promised land. Doesn't matter. Neither here nor there. But the way Moses seen it was that all of Israel's seed, all of Jacob's seed had to go into the land for the promise to be complete. But anyway, see how you see how the Most High God, if the Most High God tell you your ways are not my ways, my thoughts are not your thoughts. You see how that lines up? You see how beautiful that goes? Beautiful, huh? Go ye not after other gods, of the gods of the nations round about you. For the Lord thy God is in the midst of thee. For the Lord thy God in the midst of thee is a jealous God. Lest the Lord thy God be very angry with thee and destroy thee from off the face of the earth. Thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God as ye tempted him in the temptation. It's talking about those 10 times plus all the other times. Thou shalt by all means keep the commands of the Lord thy God, the testimonies and the ordinances which he commanded thee, and thou shalt do that which is pleasing and good before the Lord thy God, that it may be well with thee, and that thou may goest in and inherit the good land, which the Lord sware to your fathers, to chase all thine enemies from before thy face, as the Lord said. And it shall come to pass when thy son shall ask thee at a future time, or tomorrow, saying, what are the testimonies and the ordinances and the judgments which the Lord our God has commanded us? Then shalt thou say to thy son, we were slaves. What? We were slaves. Who does this sound like? Who else on this whole earth can say right now as a race of people they were slaves? Think about that for a moment. I got a whole lot in common with these Israelites. We were slaves to Pharaoh in the land of Egypt. And the Lord brought us forth thence with a mighty hand and with a high arm. And the Lord wrought signs and the great and grievous wonders in Egypt on Pharaoh and on his house before us. And he brought us out thence to give us this land, which he sware to give to our fathers. And the Lord charged us to observe all these ordinances, to fear the Lord our God, that it may be well with us forever, that we may live even as today. And what he was saying as today, and we could speak that into that it's not well with us now, but we're still living right now. But when he says as today, that was in that very moment. Verse 26, and there shall be mercy to us if we take heed to keep all these commands before the Lord our God, as he has commanded us. And when the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land which thou goest to possess it, and shall remove great nations from before thee, the Kittite, Girgashite, and Amorite, and Canaanite, and Perizzite, and Evite, and Jebusite, 7 nations more numerous and stronger than you, and the Lord thy God shall deliver them into thy hands. Then thou shalt smite them, Thou shalt utterly destroy them. Thou shalt not make a covenant with them. Neither shall ye pity them. Did you hear that? Neither shall ye pity them. Man, listen, if there could have only been the right number of people to just hardcore, straight hardcore. They didn't know how to balance between these guys are genetic abominations and these people look just like us. And for some odd reason, just like today, we're all the same. All black people are the same. There could be a tribe of guys who are all 10 feet tall and have brown skin and grow beards and grow afros, and they'd be like, that's us. That's us right there. That's how stupid we are. So we need to realize that the issue would be discernment and circumspect, and then knowing when to use it, knowing when you're dealing with a wicked Canaanite who has very little genetic disruption, as opposed to dealing with someone who's a Canaanite because they've been born on the land and tell you they're a Canaanite. We'll have to ignore this in the background. I thought they were done with all this nonsense. Right on. Apparently they're not. I don't even understand. It's just so funny. Give me a second though. And the Lord thy God shall deliver them into thy hands. Then thou shalt smite them, and thou shalt utterly destroy them. Thou shalt not make a covenant with them. Neither shall ye pity them. Neither shall ye contract marriages with them. Contract marriages with them. Thou shalt not give thy daughter to his son. Thou shalt not take his daughter to thy son. Right. For he will draw away thy son from me, and he will serve other gods. And the Lord will be very angry with you, and will soon utterly destroy thee. But thus shall ye do to them. Ye shall destroy their altars and break down their pillars, and shall cut down their groves, and shall burn with fire their graven images of their gods. For thou art a holy people to the Lord thy God. And the Lord thy God chose thee to be to him a peculiar people beyond all nations that are upon the face of the earth. A what? A peculiar people. Special, unique, strange. It is not because you are numerous. It is not because ye are more numerous than all the other nations that the Lord preferred you. And the Lord made choice of you. For ye are fewer in number than all other nations. Did you hear that? This is confirmation that any other nation so there's millions and millions and millions of people, y'all. I need y'all to really get that, like, there were some major wars that took place where a lot of folks died. Lots of folks died. Can't stress that enough. And then a whole bunch of other people were displaced and moved places. It's really deep, y'all. So when you start to look at the population of the world, and you start to look at all these other, especially like Gentiles coming up out of the middle of the earth, right? And we see how the Indians breed, and we see how the Chinese breed, okay? And we see how certain segments of what I don't believe are black people that are called Africans breed, right on. And they produce a lot of babies. So it's easy for us, because we might only have, a lot of them are probably having, well, back then they were pumping out babies like animals. Like, and I mean, like, like having like litters of children, they've staved off a lot of those genomes they've cut off. They don't like for people to realize that how animalistic they are, that they're way more like an animal than not. Something, just something to throw out there. Word. That's just something to throw out there. That's just something for y'all to think about, that the people were lesser than the nations. We're not talking about, once again, these are just the children of Adam. But if you're going to throw in the fact that there's people who have attached themselves to these nations, i.e. the children of the Anakim or the giants, things like that, who are not children of Seth, who are not children of Noah, okay, then we must look at it eyes wide open and say, well, where do these individuals come from? Okay, right. And they had to come from the recesses of the earth. regions of the earth that were unknown to the people, that weren't even traversed by the people. Because the circuit of all life, all important life on earth, okay, happened in the Mediterranean, in that general area. That's why everything comes from there. They can try to tell you that clearly mathematics does not come from the so-called Arabs. These people could count back then, and they ain't no freaking Arabs. Okay? All these things that they want you to believe, they try to accredit and give to other groups of people, as opposed to giving them to the righteous children of Adam who deserve it, because they are the progenitors to many of the instruments that people know about. Right. Children of Adam created music through Cain and his children. I don't even want to get carried away, but I just wanted to point out, like, it's a disrespect when folks can't look and say, okay, the Amorites, blood mixed with these Gentile things, maintained a certain level of genetic continuity, and they're all claiming to be Amorites. And the same thing with the Kittites and the Hivites. You see what I'm saying? And the Girgashites and all these other groups. So everybody has more people than them. Everybody. So you're like, oh man, they're millions and millions strong. Everybody else has millions and millions and millions more. So it literally does not matter. Literally does not matter. And we're hearing right now that they weren't chosen because they're they weren't chosen because they're mighty, right? That's not why they didn't get picked for any of those reasons. Okay. So let's just read that part again. It is not, verse 7. It is not because ye are more numerous than all other nations that the Lord preferred you. This is kind of like Levi, right? Because he's the least of all of his brethren. This is why he's preferred. And the Lord made choice of you, but for ye are fewer in number than all other nations. But because the Lord loved you, and as keeping the oath which he swore to your fathers, the Lord brought you out with a strong hand, and the Lord redeemed you from the house of bondage, out of the hand of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. Thou shalt know, therefore, that the Lord thy God, he is God, a faithful God, who keeps covenant and mercy for them that love him, and for those that keep his commandments to 1,000 generations, and who recompenses them that hate them to their face, to destroy them utterly, and will not be slack with them that hate him. He will recompense them to their face. So don't worry, y'all. Everybody who claim that they can't stand the Most High, they say all this crazy stuff, they want to worship all these, to their faces, they're going to get what they got coming. There's a reason why I'm going to stay in radio silence about all my others. Any other line of thought will be in radio silence until after the election. When the election hits, then I'll say something. I like to see people sweat, though. Verse 11, thou shalt keep therefore the commandments, and the ordinances and the judgments which I command thee this day to do. And it shall come to pass, when ye shall have heard these ordinances, and shall have kept and done them, that the Lord thy God shall keep for thee the covenant and the mercy which he sware to your fathers. And he will love thee and bless thee and multiply thee. And he will bless the offspring of thy body, or belly, and the fruit of thy land, and thy corn, and thy wine, and thine oil, the herds of thine ox, and the flocks of thy sheep, on the land which the Lord sware to thy fathers to give thee. Thou shalt be blessed beyond all nations. There shall not be among you an impotent or barren one, or among the cattle, That's just a symbol there. So there's not going to be men or women who can't bear children, because guess what? Everybody's going to be circumcised. They're not going to be eating unclean food. Women won't be putting things into their body, throwing off their pH. Okay, right on. All kinds of, I don't have to get too carried away, but just understand this. The circumcision part is going to ixnay a lot of the issues that those dudes were having. Impotent. Right. Meaning you're not potent. Okay. Meaning you don't produce seed. Okay. Right. It's not just women. Oh, it's not just, oh, women can't have children. No, there's guys who don't produce babies too. And that is the reason why people step out and sleep around. But anyway, let's just keep it pushing. This is why people used to pray to God, be like, God, if you give me a baby, you can have the baby. We'll bring him to the priesthood. I.e. Anna or Hannah, as some people know her as. No. Did she not offer her son Samuel to the Most High God, to the priesthood? Come on. Yes, she did that. Yes, she did that. And then she went on to have other children afterwards. Come on, let's just be real. See, when we can tell ourselves the truth objectionably and don't have to be suckers about it. I don't think this is a book by no Africans. Africans hate black people. I love my people. So I know this ain't about them. I'm reading about us. Okay? I'm reading about how we've been how we the rise, fall, further degradation, and hopefully the rise one day again of my people. But right now we're reading about the rise. So let's just enjoy the rise for a second. You know, even though they're being told if you don't do right, I'm going to break your heads open. Now, where were we just at? Verse 14. Thou shalt be blessed beyond all nations. There shall not be among you an impotent or barren one, or among the cattle. And the Lord thy God shall remove from thee all sickness, and none of the evil diseases of Egypt which thou hast seen, and all that thou hast known, will he lay upon thee, but he will lay them upon all that hate thee. And thou shalt eat all the spoils of the nations which the Lord thy God gives thee. Thine eye shall not spare them, and thou shalt not serve their gods, for this is an offense to thee. Stop right there, man. I love the Most High God. He's like, no mercy, man, no pity, no sparing, no love for none of these cats. Break them down. Look. Oh my goodness. He just wanted like this super duper ready. What the Most High God wanted is amazing. What the people gave him is less than stellar. We'll just say that. Sinful for sure, but less than stellar. Let's just go ahead and keep reading. But if, verse 17, thou shouldst say in thy heart, this nation is greater or more than we, or more than I. How shall I be able to destroy them utterly? Thou shalt not fear them. Thou shalt utterly remember all that the Lord thy God did to Pharaoh and to all the Egyptians. The great temptations which thy eyes have seen, those signs and great wonders, the strong hand and the high arm, how the Lord thy God brought thee forth. So the Lord your God will do to all the nations, whom thou fearest in their presence. And the Lord thy God shall send against them the hornets until they that are left and they that are hidden from thee be utterly destroyed. Thou shalt not be wounded before them, because the Lord thy God in the midst of thee is a great and powerful God. And the Lord thy God shall consume the nations before thee by little and little. Thou shalt not be able to consume them speedily, lest the land become desert and the wild beasts of the field be multiplied against thee. Stop right there. The Most High God is like, yo, not only is this a provision, once again, a way to check the people to make sure that they're not going to go aside from him, right? But it's a mechanism so that, once again, because you can't reason with the wild beast, it's not going to happen. So you can reason with the humanoid, where if it has two ears and a mouth and a tongue and eyes and a nose, right? You understand what I'm saying? And it's bipedal or bipedal, right? That should tell you everything. Right. Should tell you everything. You can't reason with a wild beast. Most High God's like, I'm not. Once again, these things play out in real time. The Most High is like, I get involved, but I don't get involved. You know what I'm saying? It's not even the plausible deniability thing. It's just you have to do it for yourself too. I'm not going to do it for you. Right. And I want to see what you're made of. I want to see your heart. Do you really believe in not cutting down all their groves? Like their groves, their trees, all right. Because you have to regrow all that stuff back. You have to grow back some of that stuff. Right. It's deep, y'all. It's deep. One of these days, because it's not looked at like this, the scripture's not perceived as everybody wants to believe that the Most High God is like this all-inclusive God. He's not. He's not. And you can't do what you want to do. He has rules that are, if you break them, they're punishable by death. But yet people want me to respect the law of the white man. But this law in this book is a righteous law. If you follow it, the law of this man's land is not righteous because he has built within his mechanisms ways where he can amend, ways where he can walk back, otherwise contradict his own belief of so-called justice. That doesn't work. That's not how it is. The Most High God said you can't add or take away. There will be no amendments to this. There will be no revisions to this. Okay? And you can't scrap it. You can't, none of that. Nothing. Anyway, let's just keep it going. And verse 23, and the Lord thy God shall deliver them into thy hands, and thou shalt destroy them with the great destruction, until ye have utterly destroyed them. And he shall deliver their kings into your hands, and ye shall destroy their name from that place. None shall stand up in opposition before thee, until thou have utterly destroyed them. Ye shall burn with fire the graven images of their gods. Thou shalt not covet their silver, neither shalt thou take thyself gold from them, lest thou shouldest offend thereby, because it is an abomination to the Lord thy God. And thou shalt not bring an abomination into thine house, so shouldest thou be an accursed thing like it. Thou shalt utterly hate it, and altogether abominate it, because it is an accursed thing. Stop right there. Do you see how the Most High God, he does two things? He's like, you're not going to keep the silver or the gold because it's probably made some way where you can worship it, where you can idol worship. So you're going to bring that to the priest. They're going to melt that down. It's going to get recashed. You can't keep that. Sorry. You can't keep that. You can't have that. People are like, Meech, what are you talking about? It's going to happen in the book of Joshua, where, I mean, you could claim that the dude's trying to hold out. That's what it looks like. Okay, that's what it looks like. It looks like guys holding out, right? And, pretty much they stone him and his whole house. My thing is this. I don't see how people can't humanize these things, but they'll try to tell us that Moses was murdered by the Israelites or that Aaron was murdered by the Israelites. It's like, how did you humanize that in your mind, but you can't humanize this other stuff? It's literally absurd, y'all. It's the most ridiculous thing that a person can contend. Now let's just keep reading. This is verse 1 of chapter 8. We're almost to chapter. When I reach chapter 10, I'm going to see how I'm feeling. And I'll dictate to myself if I want to continue to keep doing this, because there's only 34 chapters. We're on chapter 8. Okay. We're almost, when I read one more chapter, we'll literally be a quarter of the way done in 2 videos. Are y'all hearing what I'm saying? Right. So I have to make it like a 5-hit thing, 6-hit thing. I don't want it to just be said and done and over with, because I want to semi kind of stretch it out to the election, sort of, so that way there's no reason for me to talk about anything else. I just I just want to stay in radio silence. I've seen some very interesting things take place, and I know if I gave my 2 pence on it, it would change what they're talking about, and I don't want to change their minds. I want them I want them to continue down the path that they've been on. It's better that way. Now let's just keep reading. Ye shall observe to do all the commands which I charge you today. This is verse 1 of chapter 8. That ye may live and be multiplied, and enter and inherit the land which the Lord your God sware to give to your fathers. And thou shalt remember all the way which the Lord thy God led thee in the wilderness, that he might afflict thee and try thee, that the things in thy heart might be made manifest, whether thou wouldest keep his commandments or no. So he's saying, look, I'm going to try your hearts. You can say whatever you want to. I'm going to put you in a position to pass or fail. We're going to see what happens. And he afflicted thee and straitened thee with hunger and fed thee with manna, which thy fathers knew not, that he might teach thee that man should not live by bread alone. What? But by the word that proceeds out of the mouth of God shall man live. Where do y'all think the Messiah got it from? Huh? He had to show him. I can literally sustain you. Just by you being around me, I can sustain you. Right. Now, he worked out of the people's diets a lot of the unclean food that they had been eating, right? He's by him doing that, and by them eating the manna so much, right? Some of the people become uh, closer to vegetarian, vegan than they ever had been, and who knows how long. And the Most High God is like, I get it. I really do want to say that there's a part of the Most High that says, because these people have blood mixed already times before, right? That their bodies are biologically used to the heavy protein of another living thing. Once again, in order to assuage this, I'm just going to have them to eat the clean animals. I'll assuage it like this. Right. It's the easiest way to do it. So when you have people who've been eating meat for as long as they've been in Egypt, 430 years, clearly food was not a problem. It was just all the work they had to do. So when you have a mindset like that and you're just trying to show the people like you don't need any of the stuff that you were just having, I will keep you alive. Do you believe in me? And so the Most High God has to test, man. Once again, he has to test you. What do you really believe in? Do you believe he'll fix a broken leg? Huh? Do you believe he'll fix a damaged skin? Huh? Do you think he can mend a broken heart? See, these are the things that people don't understand because they don't believe that he can heal a soul. They don't believe that. So that's one of the, we fall short because of that, because there's a lack of faith. And it's really sad because I think we all know that we've had moments in our life where we lacked faith and we should have just stuck it out a little bit more. And had we, things would be way different than they are right now. So when I say that, I'm just trying to relate without giving too much of anybody's life or any too much of my life, But if we were to relate it once again, this has been an honor of honors that I could never put in words to y'all. I could never put this in words. How much it has been so fun for me to do. Sometimes it hasn't been fun, but this has brought me to a level of peace with myself, and because I constantly stay thinking about the Most High God, I don't have the issues that I would have before, where my mind would wander and entertain, you know, dark ideas, sinful things that that's going to get you in trouble if you do that. You know what I'm saying? So for these last 5.5 years, 4.5 years, whatever, I've been reading the scripture pretty consistently since 2014, but I've been doing this with y'all since 2015. So, and I feel good about it because it could be not what it is right now. And I know I've helped change the minds of many great people. And I know I've turned away many great people. I know there's been a lot of people to hear my words and to be turned off and to feel that I haven't done justice to the Most High God's word. I'm not here to do justice for you. I'm here to do justice for the Most High God, to do right by him. So if doing right by him means that I slight a man or two, that's just what it is. But let me just keep reading. Thy garments grew not old from off thee. Thy shoes were not worn from off thee. Thy feet were not painfully hardened. Lo, these 40 years. Look, Moses is like, look, man, your clothes ain't got old. Your shoes ain't ripped up. Your feet don't hurt. It's been 40 years and you still walking tough. Verse 5, and thou shalt know in thine heart that as if any man should chasten his son, so the Lord thy God will chasten thee. And thou shalt keep the commands of the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways and to fear him. For the Lord thy God will bring thee into a good place, extensive land, where there are torrents of water and fountains of deep places. Or when it says that, there's a issuing from deep places. But excuse me, of deep places issuing through the plains and through the mountains, a land of wheat and barley, wherein are vines, figs, pomegranates, a land of olive oil and honey, a land of which thou shalt not eat thy bread with poverty, and thou shalt not want anything upon it, a land whose stones are iron, and out of its mountain thou shalt dig brass, and thou shalt eat and be filled, and thou shalt bless the Lord thy God on the good land which he has given thee. Take heed to thyself that thou forget not the Lord thy God, so as not to keep his commandments and his judgments and ordinances, which I command thee this day, lest when thou hast eaten and art full, and built goodly houses and dwelt in them, and thy oxen and thy sheep are multiplied to thee, and thy silver and thy gold are multiplied to thee, and all thy possessions are multiplied to thee, that thou should be exalted in heart and forget the Lord thy God, who brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage, who brought thee thence, who brought thee through that great and terrible witness. Where is the biting serpent and scorpion and drought, where there was no water, who brought thee a fountain of water out of the flinty rock, who fed thee with manna in the wilderness, which thou knewest not, and thy fathers knew not, that he might afflict thee, and thoroughly try thee, and do thee good in thy latter days, lest thou shouldest say in thy heart, my strength and the power of mine hand have wrought for me this great wealth. Stop right there. Basic understanding what Moses is trying to say right now. This whole book of Deuteronomy, and I'm going to remind you of this and remind you of this. Never forget where you come from. It's the Most High God's most important lesson to the people, because they've forgotten when they were in the wilderness that he rescued. He's like, y'all, I saved y'all out of Egypt. It's not like you guys were thriving there, right? It's not like you guys were. He said, you'll never eat your bread in poverty again. Think about that. So they ate their bread in poverty in Egypt, right? They weren't rich for the most part. Most of them weren't rich. They spoiled the Egyptians. Do y'all not remember that? So it's things like this that people have to keep in their minds and say, okay, why is Moses trying to remind these people not to do this? Because he's already told the Most High God they're an impulsive people and an impetuous people. To me, they're just sinful and have no discipline. Bottom line. However, he's telling them, don't forget where you came from. Okay, because remember, man, there were snakes everywhere, serpents everywhere, poisonous serpents everywhere. There was poisonous scorpions everywhere. Wasn't any water to drink. Okay, the Most High God gave us water out of a rock. He gave us this light bread to eat. Was trying us. It was all for a blessing, but they failed. They fell short of that. So when we start to look at what's about to happen, we just need to keep into our minds. Moses did everything he could to keep these people from becoming victims of their own wanton, reckless ways, selfish and careless ways. Back to the reading. And also, just to keep in mind, the Most High is like, I had to break them down so that way you didn't think you did it all on your own. Lest thou shouldest say in thine heart, my strength and the power of mine hand have wrought for me this great wealth. But thou shalt remember the Lord thy God, that he gives thee strength to get wealth, even that he may establish his covenant, which the Lord sware to thy fathers, as at this day. So this is as at that day, or as at this day, speaking in the moment that he was speaking on. And if you want to apply it to now, you could. The only issue is that you are currently in bondage in a land where you're supposed to have, we're all supposed to be asking to get up out of here and to be saved and for him to pity us. Verse 19, and it shall come to pass, if thou do at all forget the Lord thy God, and shouldest go after other gods, and serve them, and worship them, I call heaven and earth to witness against you this day, that ye shall surely perish, as also the other nations which the Lord God destroys before your face. So shall ye perish, because ye hearken not to the voice of the Lord your God. This is verse 1 of chapter 9. Hear, O Israel, that thou goest this day across Jordan to inherit nations greater and stronger than yourselves, cities great and walled up to heaven, a people great and many and tall, the sons of Enoch, whom thou knowest, and concerning whom thou heard say, who can stand before the children of Enoch? And thou shalt know today that the Lord thy God, he shall go before thy face. He is a consuming fire. He shall destroy them, and he shall turn them back before thee, and shall destroy them quickly, as the Lord said to thee. Speak not in thine heart, when the Lord thy God has destroyed these nations before thy face, saying, my righteousness, the Lord brought me in to inherit this good land. Listen what he's saying. Speak not in thy heart when the Lord thy God has destroyed these nations, saying before thy face, saying, for my righteousness the Lord brought me in to inherit this good land. For not for thy righteousness, nor for the holiness of thy heart, does thou go in to inherit their land. But because of the wickedness of these nations, the Lord will destroy them from before thee, that he may establish the covenant which the Lord sware to your fathers, to Abraham and to Isaac and to Jacob. Stop right there. Did you hear that? You're not good people. Thank you very much. Nothing about you are good people. They're so wicked, I want to get rid of them and I want to put you there. No lie. No lie. So when he's saying, when y'all get up in here, don't tell yourself, oh, it's because we're righteous. It's because we're holy. It's got nothing to do with any of that. In fact, it's the opposite. It's because they're not righteous and they're not holy that I'm taking it from them and giving it to you. Come on. Now, do people want to hear that the nations that are on this land were at one time picked and appointed by the Most High God to flourish and to be blessed? And they turned aside their ways to the left and to the right? Gone a whoring? Let's talk about Jerusalem for a moment. Why do you think the Most High God picked Jerusalem to be his city? Right. Because it was the most, like outside of Sodom and Gomorrah, it was the next wicked holy. It was terrible. It was terrible. And he's like, yep, y'all gonna clean that up and make that mine. Come on, that's how the Most High God gets down. Let's just keep reading. Verse 5, not for thy righteousness, nor for the holiness of thy heart, dost thou go in to inherit their land. Their land. So that way y'all don't get it messed up. This is the land that the people are on is theirs. And the Israelites are about to kick them off or attempt to, and then go take it over. But because of the wickedness of these nations, the Lord will destroy them from before thee. This is why the white man called all the people over here savages, to try to justify what they were doing. And everywhere else they went, they're all savages. Oh, they don't believe in God. They don't know who Jesus is. How do you think they did that? The Lord will destroy them from before thee, that he may establish the covenant which with the Lord, which the Lord sware to our fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. And thou shalt know today, this is not for thy righteousness, that the Lord thy God gives thee this good land to inherit. For thou art a stiff-necked people. Remember, forget not how much thou provokest the Lord thy God in the wilderness, from the day that ye came forth out of Egypt, even till ye came into this place. Ye continued to be disobedient toward the Lord. Also in Koreb, ye provoked the Lord, and the Lord was angry with you to destroy you. And I went up to the mountain to receive the tablets of stone, the tables of the covenant, which the Lord made with you. And I was in the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. I ate no bread and drank no water. And the Lord gave me 2 tables of stone written with the finger of God. And on them there had been written all the words which the Lord spoke to you in the mountain in the day of the assembly. And it came to pass after 40 days and 40 nights, the Lord gave me the 2 tables of stone, the tables of the covenant. And the Lord said to me, arise, go down quickly from hence, for thy people whom thou broughtest out of the land of Egypt have transgressed. They have gone aside quickly out of the way which I commanded them. And I have made themselves a molten image. Stop right there. Do y'all realize it took them no time? Moses is gone for a little over a month. And already, you see what I'm saying? That's no time. So 40 days is nothing compared to 40 years. 40 days is nothing even compared to 40 months. So when you're starting to talk about how long or how short of a time period people would go aside from the Most High God, how can they conceive forever if 40 days later from forever, they're already freaking doing what they want to do? Right. Just go ahead and just keep reading. And the Lord spoke to me, saying, I have spoken to thee once, and again, saying, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. And now suffer me utterly to destroy them, and I will blot their name from under, and I will blot out their name from under heaven, and I will make thee a great nation, and strong, and more numerous than this. And I turned and went down from the mountain, and the mountain burned with fire to heaven, and the 2 tables of testimony were in my hands, or on my hands. And when I saw that ye sinned against the Lord your God, and had made to yourselves a molten image, and had gone astray out of the way which the Lord commanded you to keep or to do, then I took hold of the 2 tables and cast them out of my hands and broke them before you. And I made my petition before the Lord, as also at the as the first 40 days and 40 nights. I ate no bread and drank no water on account of all your sins which ye sinned in doing evil before the Lord God to provoke him. And I was greatly terrified because of the wrath and anger, because the Lord was provoked with you, utterly to destroy you. Yet the Lord hearkened to me at this time also. And he was angry with Aaron to destroy him utterly. And I prayed for Aaron also at that time. And your sin which ye had made, even the calf, I took and burnt it with fire and pounded it and ground it till it became fine, and it became as dust. And I cast the dust into the brook that descended from the mountain. Stop right there. Do you hear how crazy he went for a second? Came down. Clearly, this man is a strong man. Even in his old age, a very powerful man. Took 2 stones, slammed them down, breaks them, because he's like, I'm not giving these suckers no law. Goes back up for another 40 days and 40 nights. Okay? Right? He's telling the people, I could have had all y'all killed. While y'all sitting here bickering, I could have had all y'all up out of here. But I didn't do that. I took the high road. Right. Aaron was like to get touched too. I told y'all though, that's why Aaron had to go the way he had to go. The most I said, oh man, this dude making molten images, and he's part of the reason. Aaron should have been like, okay, let me get all the Levites, and then we're gonna go through the camp and smash everybody out who's tripping. That's not what happened. Aaron was, like I said, he was like a man of the people, you know. Moses, for all intents and purposes, is an antisocial. Okay, he don't really do too much dealing with the people, and Moses will break you. He will bust your head. He's not tripping. Aaron's kind of like the dude who's going to be like the life of the party. Yeah, you know what I mean, partying and all that stuff. They're 2 different men. They're 2 different people. I don't expect them to be the same. I just want to point out to you that the more righteous of the 2 has a more serious attitude about how he takes things, and his meekness, because obviously he's not operating in ego, because if he was operating in ego, the Israelites wouldn't even have been here to hear those words, because he said the Most High God looked to blot them out from under the sun and make him a great nation. Told them this to their faces. No issues telling them that. He's like, I'm a dead man anyway. I'm not going to go over to the Jordan, but I just thought you should know there was a time when y'all was about to get touched. So this is the creator of I wish y'all could feel the energy I feel right now trying to explain this to you. The creator of everything is literally dealing. He is negotiating to a certain degree with the man. And hearken to that man. Not to get rid of our filthy, disgusting ancestors. Should have got rid of all of them. None of us would be going through this now. Maybe we wouldn't be here, right? I can live with that. Because living with how we have to live now, this is nonsense. And I would have much have rather for the righteous to have lived. It's too late. We're already here. We're already in Babylon. So all I can do is keep reading. Where are we at? Also in the burning, verse 22, and in the temptation. So the burning is this Hebrew word, tabara, or masa, or kibrat hatava. That's the graves. This is the graves of lust. That's what this is talking about. And also in the burning and in the temptations and at the graves of love, ye provoke the Lord. Ye provoke the Lord. And the Lord sent you forth from Karnes Barneh, saying, go up and inherit the land which I give you. Then ye disobeyed the word of the Lord, and believed him not, and hearkened not to his voice. Ye were disobedient in the things relating to the Lord from the day in which he became known to you. Now, why I want to stress this is because if some of y'all, people are gonna have to, people who heard everything will know. You'll have to go back a little bit further, but I'll just catch you up real quick. The Most High God has been telling them through Moses not to be afraid of the people of great stature when they go into the land. The issue that he's talking about right now is that they didn't want to go into the land because of the people of great stature. 40 years later, the people aren't as big. They've been breeding more in with the normal humulus population. The giants are dying off. There's just not as many of them, and they're not as large as they were. So let's just go ahead and keep reading. And the Lord sent you to go forth from Kadesh Barnea, saying, Go up and inherit the land which I give to you. Then ye disobeyed the word of the Lord your God, and believed him not, and hearkened not to his voice. You were disobedient in or toward the Lord in the things relating to the Lord from the day in which he became known to you. Verse 25, and I prayed before the Lord 40 days and 40 nights, that I prayed before the Lord, that I prayed before the Lord, and he said he would utterly destroy you. For the Lord said that he would utterly destroy you. Ooh. And I prayed to God and said, O Lord, King of gods, destroy not thy people and thine inheritance or portion or part, whom thou didst redeem, whom thou broughtest out of the land of Egypt with thy great power and with thy strong hand and with thy high arm. Remember Abraham and Isaac and Jacob thy servants, to whom thou swearest by thyself. Look not upon the hardness of heart of this people and their impieties and their sins, lest the habitants of the land which thou broughtest up out speak, saying, because the Lord could not bring them into the land of which he spoke to them, and because he hated them, he has brought them forth to slay them in the wilderness. And these are thy people and thy portion, whom thou broughtest out of the land of Egypt with thy great strength and with thy mighty hand and with thy high arm. We're at chapter 10. I just feel like I just have to just keep going now. And at that time, the Lord said to me, hew for thyself two stone tables as the first, and come to me into the mountain, and thou shalt make for thyself an ark of wood. And thou shalt write on the tables the words which were on the first tables, which thou didst break, and thou shalt put them into the ark. So I made an ark of boards of incorruptible wood, and huge stones of stone, and huge tables of stone like the first. And I went up to the mountain, and the two tables were in my hand, and he wrote upon the tables according to the first, the 10 commandments, which the Lord spoke to you in the mountain out of the midst of the fire. And the Lord gave them to me. And I turned and I came down and came down from the mountain and from the tables in the ark which I had made. And there they were, as the Lord commanded me. And the children of Israel departed from Berath of the sons of Joachim to Misadeh. There Aaron died, and he was buried. So this is the 40-year mark right there. And Eleazar, his son, was priest in his stead. Thence they departed to Gadgad, from Gadgad to Etabatha, a land wherein torrents of water. Stop right there for just half a second. Now, if it's been 40 years, Aaron's 120 something when he dies, right? Follow me. Pretty sure that's how old he was, like 123, 126, something like that. I have to go back and look. I'll do it later, but I won't do it now. His son is an older man now. So his son, 40 years later, let's say he was in his glory years, his late 30s, early 40s when they first got into the wilderness. Now he's a much older man. You know, he has wisdom, he has sensibility. He's seen all the things that have taken place. He doesn't want to end up like his father, for sure. So he's going to do his best to do the right thing. There's also the part to this that, do you see how much is going on This is being talked about. This is all over a 40-year period. We went from talking about the first 40 days and 40 nights of these guys being out of there, right? To literally being at the 40-year mark. So there's a lot of things that happen, children being born, people dying, blase blas, blase blas. But it's just worth mentioning that what what we're reading about right now is the very latter end of everything. And a lot of these moments are actually coincided. It's just because we're reading everything is so repetitious. The commands are repetitious and some of the events are repetitious that we have to take ourselves from the time that we're reading that Moses is saying that and put ourselves back into the time where that would have happened. Mind you, from the beginning of this book till now, these are all things that Moses recorded from the Most High God. And it takes you getting all the way up until the book of the Exodus. Come on. This is deep, ain't it? You see how that goes? Takes us getting to the book of the Exodus for Moses to even start talking about himself. And then from the Exodus to Leviticus to the Numbers, Deuteronomy, he's going to speak pretty much his piece about his story. And that's why I asked y'all when I first started doing this stuff at the beginning of the year, when did Moses find out that he was going to die? Like at what point in junction did he know that he was not going to go into the promised land? And do we realize the level of discipline, faith, and a true humble spirit, a truly meek man he would have been to have seen his death and to understood that I don't make it into the promised land? But these ungrateful people do. Man, that's something. Let me just go ahead and keep reading. At that time, the Lord separated the tribe of Levi to bear the ark of the covenant of the Lord, to stand near before the Lord, to minister and bless in his name to this day. Therefore the Levites have no part nor inheritance among their brethren. The Lord himself is their inheritance, as he said to them. And I remained in the mount 40 days and 40 nights. And the Lord heard me at that time also. And the Lord would not destroy you. And the Lord said to me, go, set out before this people, and let them go in and inherit the land which I swear to the fathers to give to them. And now, Israel, what does the Lord thy God require of thee, but to fear the Lord thy God, and to walk in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul, to keep the commandments of the Lord thy God and his ordinances, all that I charge thee today, that it may be well with thee. So he's saying, like, what's the problem? What's the issue? What is the what would make you not want to do that? Pretty much, is this too big of a thing to ask for? That you do right by the Most High God, so that way He can do right by you. Is that too big of a deal? Where we at? And now Israel. Oh. And now Israel, what does the Lord thy God require of thee, but to fear the Lord thy God, and to walk in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve him with all thy heart and with all thy soul, to keep the commandments of the Lord thy God and his ordinances, all that I charge thee today, that it may be well with thee. Behold, the heaven and the heavens of heavens belong to the Lord thy God, the earth and all things that are in it. Only the Lord chose your fathers to love them, and he chose out of their seed after them, even you, beyond all nations, as at this day. Therefore, ye shall circumcise the hardness of your heart, and ye shall not harden your neck. For the Lord your God, he is God of gods and Lord of lords, the great and strong and terrible God, who does not accept persons or wonder or admire a face, nor will he by any means accept a bribe, executing executing judgment for the stranger and orphan and widow. And he loves the stranger to give him food and raiment. And ye shall love the stranger, for ye were strangers in the land of Egypt. Thou shalt fear the Lord thy God, and serve him, and shalt cleave to him, and shalt swear by his name. He is thy boast, and he is thy God, who has wrought in the midst of thee these great and glorious things which ye have seen. With the 70 souls, with 70 souls, your father went down into Egypt, but the Lord thy God has made thee as the stars of heaven in multitude. Stop right there. That's how we're going to end today's reading, right? We stop at chapter 11. We got a whole 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 done, a whole 7 chapters done today. Knocked them down. I assume, depending on how long some of these chapters are, how short some of them are, because I'm at page 247, and this ends at page 281, I want to say. So 280. So 33 more pages of reading to go, and we're done with the first 5 books, and we're done with that part of it. I don't have anything to prove at this point. I'm actually quite happy with myself. I'm happy with the results. I can live with the results, y'all. I hope you guys can live with the results. I hope that you take more from this than I can give. It's one of those things. I don't know what to tell you at this point. I want you to love the Most High God. I love him. I fear him. I honor him. I do the best that I can do. When I'm wrong about something, I atone the ways that I know how to atone. And a little bit, maybe not today, in a couple days or whatever, I got to follow up with this request made by brother Melvis Usidame to make some bread. My bad, bro. I just been doing a lot of things lately. Got my little black seed oil bottles. They're ready. They're ready to go. I've been working on a couple little things I can do out here to make a couple dollars on the side, and give people high quality products while I'm doing it. However, it's always going to be an honor. It's always going to be fun to just talk about the scripture with y'all. Moses is literally giving the people, he's telling the people over and over again, don't forget about the Most High God. Don't forget about him. Don't take him out your mind. Don't take him off your heart. Because you're in the wilderness, right? Where you're not even around other nations of people. And you've already had your own, you've already had issues with discipline. You've already had issues with staying the course. So when he tells them once again to circumcise their hardened hearts, I want y'all to think about what I was talking about earlier when I said what I said about the condition that Abraham more than likely suffered from, about the hardness around a certain area, okay, of his male anatomy. Come on. I'm not talking stupid. I'm talking real. I'm talking honest. And it's little things like that people don't recognize. Your discipline is everything, And this is some guava splash. It's okay. It's pretty good. 7-Eleven. Anyway, the people, they just can't be held to account. They're in the wilderness. They don't even want to listen. In the wilderness, they can't be asked to do the right thing. So why do people think that they're going to do the right thing not in the wilderness? Mind you, I told y'all today before this little nonsense right here picks up, right? They purposely did all the wrong things that they did, because the Most High God told them, hey, you didn't build anything here. You didn't plant any of the vineyards. You didn't do anything. You're going to literally come into a pre-furnished land and start thriving. And I try to tell y'all, that is the linchpin. That is the reason why black people had to come to America and had to build everything up. Don't worry, we'll get there. Deuteronomy 28 will make all that make sense. I may or may not have to go back to it to show y'all that part. I don't think I will. But if I must, I will. You see what I'm saying? If I must, I will. Because it's going to show us verbatim everything that black people had to do in this country. These black people in this Bible went to a land and already had all that. The same black people I'm talking about do an about face on all the ordinances and commandments and laws, injunctions and statutes, okay? The rules, the laws, people, they do an about face on those things. And then somehow their seed ends up in this land that they call America now, where their children's and their children's children, all of our ancestors, built for free the houses here, planted for free the vineyards, right? And their olive yards, right? Thank you. Did we not? Did we not do that? Yes, we did. So the poetic justice, talking about a white man wrote that the white man couldn't, please, white man don't even wash his backside every day. Talking about what the white man wrote. Please. It's things like that, y'all. Do y'all see the correlation? Am I the only person who sees the correlation? And forget Deuteronomy 28. The fact that these guys went into a land pre-furnished, already everything made up. Am I the only guy who sees that problematic? That, oh, wow, that totally makes sense as to why we had to come here and build everything for free. Totally makes sense now. You're over here crying and complaining. The white man. How about, once again, how about you take some onus for what the black man did? Thank you very much. Thank you. And it sickens me that black people so badly. I know white people are evil. You can't tell me nothing. I have my own percentage rules for them. We all know that. I refuse to not own my situation. And I refuse to not hold fault to myself where I am to be held at fault and to be held accountable. I refuse. I refuse to give so much credit to a sorry group of not even people. I refuse to do that. They're not even humans. They're not even men and women. Neither are they Gentiles. I refuse to give a bunch of Gentiles so much credit. My people are the reason why we're here. Not them. They ain't conquerors. They ain't warriors. They ain't nothing. And the same land that my people came here and built for free is falling apart right now. Because they didn't put a down payment on nothing. It's okay. Ask the white man, why can't he just go to countries and just build them up if they're just so good? They're just so smart. They go places and tear stuff up, y'all. Destroy it. Ruin it. And put lesser than standard infrastructure to replace what they destroyed back into the place. Come on. And want me as a black man to capitulate that white people are the reason? No. Because those white people, they didn't even build those boats. They didn't even build the boats. You have some accounts where they claim that the niggas who they put on the ships built the boats. How that go? You built the ships for these suckers to put you on to take your ass to captivity and bondage. How does that work? Right. It's nonsense like that. And I'm stupid. I don't get it, huh? This book is this is the closest thing to us that we've got. And they've tried to rip it and wrench it and rend it from our hands, from our hearts, our minds, and our souls, that we would turn our backs on our God. I'm here to tell you right now, Ain't no white Jesus gonna save me. He ain't gonna save you either. When I pray to the Most High God. If my prayer have to go through the Messiah, so be it. But I know his name ain't Jesus. It's why Jesus guy. It's funny to me. The one, the elect one, the righteous one, the anointed one. Him, I know for a fact, when he hears people praying and he knows that their hearts are quarter of a way in it and they just want to be equal to the devil. They've prayed for our people have been praying for equality, okay, for the last 60 something years. Before that, they were just praying that people would call them humans and acknowledge that they may have a soul. I'm tired of that. Pray for something that means something. Once again, they've never prayed to be rescued from this land. They want to stay here. I don't want to stay here. I don't want to stay here. There's nothing here, y'all. They've sapped from the land all of its life. And they want you to stay and burn in the fire with them, toil in the fire with them in vain. Black man, black woman, and black child, I tell you, don't do it. So like I told you that you can't go toe to toe and win. I'm telling you, do not do that. This is their country. Let them show you. Let them show you that great American ingenuity and their rugged individualism. Let us see what they've been talking about this whole time. I want to see it because I ain't never seen it from them. A bunch of beggars, professional, lousy beggars, belly aching about nothing. Black people, when I tell you, my ties to this land are a court order. Can you dig it? That's it. That holds me. This ERPO's holding me down more than anything. If I could leave, there's a chance I would leave. Is there anywhere else really to go right now? No. But I would ponder it and strongly consider it, especially if I could take all my tools with me, things that I could go and do work with immediately in another country, in another place. I would just go. There's nothing here for me. Nothing. Nothing. Do you know what? White people may be everywhere on earth, but there's places where there's just far less of them. Right. Places where they don't feel like they're running anything. Not even their mouth. So for a person to sit here and to contend that they're going to sit here and go and fight for what? What are you fighting for? You're going to fight for this broken ass economy that you didn't break down, that you had nothing to do with tearing down? Huh? You're going to fight for that? What? You're going to fight for the right to get called a nigger? Really? If my people aren't retarded, if they aren't stiff-necked and don't have completely uncircumcised hearts, you have to have no discipline to think like that. I'm not fighting for the right to get called a nigger, ever. And I ain't going to vote to get called no nigger either. I get tired of it. It sickens me. This is the only book. This is the only blueprint. This is the only way to engineer ourselves from the crash course, the inevitable downward spiral we were on right now. Like, you can't pray your way out of it. Y'all been praying to be equal. What you ask for matters. Your words to the Most High God matter. The literal, actual thing you say. And then what you mean right here. So if you say it half-heartedly, God, come get me, but you really don't mean it. You really mean, God, I wish you would just eradicate all my debt and put me in a 3-story house. That's what you really mean. You don't really mean that you want to be up out of here. You don't even want to be left to your own devices. That's how I know you're pathetic, weak, and you have no backbone. And anybody who does not agree, trust me right now, they are exactly that. Weak, pathetic, without a backbone. Because that's the problem. That's the problem. I'm tired of people telling me, I'm tired of hearing people say it in so many ways that you have something to fight for in this land. You have nothing to fight for in this motherfucking land. Excuse my language. Nothing. You've got nothing to fight for other than your life. And I don't need to vote for that. And I don't need anybody's permission. I don't need permission to protect myself. I'm not asking for permission. But you want to go out here and you want to ask for permission from the same list? Think about this for a moment. The same group of people, their children, you believe their children are going to do right by you. Based on what? Based on what? Let me go ahead and give y'all a line of thought while I'm still going hard for a second. My new way of attacking this whole thing about reparations, there's only one way to attack it. It's through the mind. Okay? Either their ancestors were evil, incompetent, okay? Follow what I'm saying, right? Or literally did not know any better. There's a difference between being incompetent and not knowing better. And when I say not knowing better, I mean like retarded, y'all. You feel me? You feel me? I don't want to. I don't want to use rude words like that, but somebody who's truly mentally deficient. So if their ancestors evil, mentally deficient, okay, or incompetent, for that alone, if the white man today is claiming that he's not evil, not mentally deficient, nor is he incompetent, then he can recognize the wrong done by his ancestors at any junction in this history, at any junction in this country's history, anytime. It's undeniable. If they'll try to deny it, then they are one of the three things, or all three, or a combination of, right, evil, incompetent, or mentally deficient. All reasons why we have to be reparated. Because we've been, follow what I'm getting at. Either we've been around evil, incompetent, mentally deficient people this whole time, or they're saying that, no, we outgrew that. We're not like them. Right? So if you're not like them, that means that you can see clearly then. And that means that if you can see clearly, you can understand what happened to these people. They have to be reparated. They have to be restituted. It's just what it is. I'm tired of, forget the inventions. Forget all of it. Forget all that. Those are all fine talking points. But let's just talk about the mind of these people. Okay? Right. If they can make the claim that they're not mentally deficient, evil, nor incompetent, then that means that they must recognize that restitution, reparations, is the only righteous, actionable cause that they can go forward with. It's the only thing. Anyone who wants to argue that with me, meet me at 115 North Yakima, Tacoma, Washington. Buzz 507. I will meet you downstairs gladly. 98403. Anybody who's got objections to that. Mentally retarded and incompetent and evil. And they were all three during slavery. For that alone, my people deserve restitution. Because if you're going to claim that they didn't know any better, they didn't know what they were doing. Okay, fine, but you do. But you know what they were doing. So therefore, restitute my people, nigga. You owe me. See, I'm tired of talking all this. These guys want to come with all this complicated stuff. My way about it is real simple. Pray to the Most High God to get us up out of here, away from the most evil, wicked, demon, devil, Gentiles to have ever lived, ever. And to dust off every turncoat, half-hearted, stiff-necked, brazen forehead, okay? All of them. Iron sinew for him to just break all their heads open. And for us, the people who want to be up out of here the most, who want to live the most, who don't want to live on an earth corrupted with toxic waste and nuclear material, where there's actually a future of peace, us. ask to be saved. He can't save the unwilling. Okay? And you can't save someone who don't think they need to be saved. So if you think you need to sit here and go toe-to-toe with white people, I'm going to watch you get killed. I said it. I'm not doing nothing for you. I'm doing 0%. But watching. And I'm going to enjoy myself too. That's right. That's it. I'm going to watch them get their heads broke open. They're not trained. They're not disciplined. They're not armed. They're not any of the three things that you would need to be to actually go and face an enemy. Nor do they have the resources. 4 things, excuse me. You could just put well equipped, and then that could be the third thing, and we get rid of armed and resources. So you're not well equipped, you're not disciplined, and you have no training. You're talking about going toe to toe. Go get killed. I'm the only man telling y'all right now. There was a man years ago who used to tell the people that we need to ask to be saved, but you know, he was out of season when he was saying it. I'm in season. I'm very much in season. I'm so in season that I don't think anybody's going to argue that what I'm saying is undeniably true. If you're going to go out there and fight with white people, once again, for every single dumbass nigga who going to go out there and vote, they deserve what's coming to them. Did you hear me? If you're watching this right now and you heard what I just said, if you're planning on voting, if something happens to you, you deserve whatever happens to you. It's a fact. It's just that simple to me. It's not an opinion. It's an absolute fact. You deserve it. Because you refuse to quit asking the devil to acknowledge you as his equal. That's what they do. That's what they do. White people vote. Okay? Black people administer justice. Real black people. The ones who really the only reason why we're still all alive right now is because there was righteous people during the days of all these crazy things happening. There were righteous people, but there were more unrighteous people than the righteous, just like now. There's more black people who eat pork and seafood than who don't. I don't give a damn what you tell me. It's simple mathematics. I'm willing to put a lot of money on it. There's more black people uncircumcised than those who are. I'm willing to put a lot of money on that. So when y'all start talking about righteousness and where you stand with the Most High God, man, there's basic little things in that book that people don't abide by, that they do not adhere to. And don't nobody other than me to be like, okay, well, what makes you believe? Once again, how can you believe him in your heart and then you don't practice his laws? Those two things don't marry up. They don't make sense. Right. That's just like what I'm saying about the reparations and the restitution. Either your ancestors, look at that. Look at that transition. Either your ancestors were evil, incompetent, that's right, or retarded. If they broke the laws and we're here, or my ancestors, our ancestors, no matter how you cut that cake, okay, my friend, no matter how you slice that pie, this cookie is going to crumble the same way every time. I promise you. It has to. It must. Yes, our ancestors were either evil, stupid, okay? Mentally disconnected from everything, or just majorly incompetent. Oh my goodness. It don't feel good, do it? But that's the truth, y'all. That's the absolute matter of fact. Can't deny it. It's what it is, truth. That's the truth. Is that unfortunate? To a degree, yeah, I guess. But is it, you should feel relieved. I could have kept that to myself. I've been keeping that to myself for this whole, I've been knowing that people are mentally evil, wicked this whole time. I just never really ever brought white people and black people both being wickedly evil together like that. Right. The same your people, my people, our people, you owe the Most High God. You owe him a serious apology, a major apology. And you feel like he doesn't even warrant that. How does that even make sense to any of you? Huh? You will pray to him and ask for your heart's wicked desires and won't even apologize for your ancestors. You yet live. Did you know if you stand up, right, and you put your hands to the ceiling, right? That's the greatest action you can do. Want to know why? Because a dead person can't do that. They can't do anything a living person can do, but they darn sure can't reach Godward. They cannot reach towards the sky. Where the most, we know, me put my hand here and me put my hand at the low part. Which hand is closer to the Most High God right now? Okay, then. So dead people in the dirt are far from him. And the living have that ability to just stand up and to put their hands up and to lift his name on high and to give him praise. Won't even do that because he doesn't rate that to them. He's not important enough for them to say, you know what? Outside of their generic thank you, God, when they wake up, if they do that. Outside of their generic, now lay me down to sleep. I pray my soul. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. They come with all their generic. I pray a ditto prayer every day because I want the Most High God to know I desire this one thing more than anything. And when I pray different prayers, I pray different prayers all the time. But I speak to my God. I speak to him. I cry out to him. But I do my best to be in his good graces. I don't do my best to not be in his good graces. And there's just too many brothers and sisters who have had the fat of the land, who have enjoyed the fruit of the land, who don't give back to the Most High God, even in the most basic ways. I'm not asking anybody to go out here and become homeless, poor, or destitute, or indigent. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm encouraging. What I'm saying is this. You got brothers and sisters who live in 2-3 bedroom houses. They own stuff. They have stuff, right? But they don't actually give homage to him ever. Or they don't even take time to thank him for real, for real. And how I know this is because they don't go out of their way to say, hey, you know what? Let me go to this homeless shelter, right? Let me go buy these single items. And I'm gonna go to a homeless shelter. It could be for whatever you want. If you're a dude, you could go to a homeless shelter for men. If you're a woman, you can go to a homeless shelter for women, or whatever, right? But go do something that's outside of yourself for people that you don't know, for people who you don't know. You might need them one day. You don't know that. See, and this is the problem with your mindsets. You believe that, okay, God got me, but God puts people in your life. Okay, so those people look after you, thank you, and they take care of you, and they do for you. Okay, that's the Most High God blessing you, but it came in the form of another person. So if you're telling me that you'll never need a person who may need you right now, you're out of your mind. And that's how I know that I'm one of one. I'm one of one. I don't know another brother exactly distinctly like me. I get down in my own unique way. I'm me. Okay, and I don't need I don't have to go out here and break the bank every day or every week or whatever. I do so much for people. It's astounding. You guys would be amazed. I need a humanitarian effort. Come on, I'm trying to tell y'all, I need one because I know the difference. When the Most High God, when I read that to y'all earlier, how the Most High God told Moses to tell the people, you love the stranger. You take care of. Right. So when I see people who are not, listen, My man Steven Jackson came here earlier this year. I haven't heard from him in a couple months. Hope he's doing okay. But I didn't come stay with him. Word. He could only do so right by me in the instance that we're in. Right. But bro's situation, I don't give a damn what he says or how he feels about me. I guarantee you his situation right now is better than it was at this time last year. I'll put a whole bunch of money on that. So when I say what I say, just know that, nigga, I've opened my home to people. Word. I've done all kinds of things that cats will never do, nor try to encourage somebody to do. And this is why I'm always laughing, because people think that you have to bend over for them, but it's like, no, I'm not telling none of y'all to bring a person into your home. But if you have a relative who you know is living on the street and they're partially trustworthy, why would you not look out for your relative? Steve, as far as I'm concerned, I know that's how I met bro, like this. Complete stranger to me. People like, you're stupid for that. No, nah, I don't worry about what y'all worry about. I don't. Right. Now, does bro realize that me opening the doors of my home is a gift in itself? Right on, right on. Let alone you having a key to the abode. Word. See what I'm saying? Little things like that. Figuring out ways so that way you can get in and out the building while compromising my own living situation with the management. Look out for you. See, people will sometimes put those little things out of their mind and forget you. But I'm telling you right now, as I speak on it, the Most High God knows. I do no wrong. I do no wrong to people, bro. I do not get up and get out of this house and look to do malicious, evil things to folks. If I go somewhere and I have some money in my pocket and I see somebody, I normally give them some money. And I'm not taking shots at anybody here. I know most of the people who listen to my works aren't like that. I know 99% of them are not like that. They're not. And they're going to excuse having children or whatever the freaking reason is to not being a good person. I've heard all the excuses in the book, all of them. And at the end of the day, these same people still want the Most High God to do right by them. That's the part where I'm confused. I'm lost. I'm literally befuddled. I'm like, wow. So on what level do you have to do right? Thank you. On what level do you have to do right? You have to do right. Thank you. And cats don't want to hear that. They'll excuse themselves, remove themselves from the right thing. I don't. I don't excuse myself from doing the right thing ever. Let me just go ahead and break one down to y'all real quick before we head on out. Am I the only person who finds it amazing that Moses knows the people deserve to be killed, yet he went out of his way? Went out of his way. I've never put a staff in water and made two walls of water on either side. I've never pounded a piece of brazen anything and made a serpent out of it that healed people. Okay? I never put my hand in my shirt and pulled it out and it became white and put it back in and it was my normal flesh again. I've never thrown a staff down and it became a serpent of some sort. Okay? I've never done any of those things. I've never healed anyone with my hands. All right? I've never done any of those things. But you know what, though? I understand and I overstand Moses. I get it all the way. In ways that people just maybe don't want me to get it. Maybe they, once again, I'm sad that they're upset that they wished it was them. But they're an opportunist and I'm not an opportunist. Right. One of these days, y'all gonna realize you can't say, oh, I'm doing what I have to do. And then at the other side of the neck, ask the Most High God, well, freak, if you're doing what you have to do, what are you doing that's so special? Right. Taking care of your children, you're supposed to do that. Looking out for your family, you're supposed to do that. But you don't have to look out for complete strangers. You don't have to do that. Those are that there's ways the Most High God can test you. I can't stand when people try to tell me that nobody has any extra money. Nobody does. No one has extra anything like that. Spare money, nothing. They either have the money or they don't. They either have the resource or they don't. So when people go out of their way to excuse themselves from kindness, okay, and generosity, all right, and selflessness and altruism, when you excuse, when you educate, when you abdicate yourself from those things, I have no respect for you. And I want you to die. That's not me speaking death on you. That's just when it all comes down, I don't want them to make it. I want them to die. Right. So I want somebody who never did good for anybody else to make it to the kingdom. I don't give a damn how well you take care of your children. I don't care. What about everybody else who aren't your children? Huh? Who you hope to God do right by your children? Your minds are so, ooh. Anyway, y'all, I don't know who this is buzzing on my door, but I'm about to be up out of here, okay? I've been at it for a minute. I love y'all. Spiritual Gumbo, out.